Welcome back. It's another episode of EndZoneBlog.com's Across the Middle show. I'm your host, John Kuzma. As always, we're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. We know now that it's going to be the Rams and the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I think that's pretty exciting. If my gut told me anything, it's probably the fact that most of America's probably rooting for the Bengals. And I can't blame any of you. We all know what Joe Burrow did at LSU. And, he's doing the same thing in the NFL. Gets a big win over the Kansas City Chiefs to win the AFC Championship. And in that game, they go on the road to Arrowhead Stadium. CJ Uzama goes down with a knee injury. At one point, they're down by 18 points. But Joe Burrow proves once again that he doesn't feel pressure. He throws a screen to Samaje Perine, gets the screen game going. So, they were leaking the running back out of the backfield. They get Perine out of the backfield. He takes off for a huge touchdown right before halftime. And that kind of gave the Bengals hope, because at that point, they were down 18 points. I think it was 21-3. Perine takes that halfback screen, punches it in, and it's like, okay, the Bengals got a little bit of life. And obviously, Joe Burrow would feed off that energy, and the Bengals would claw back into that game. In the second half, Burrow threw a goal line fade to Jamar Chase for a touchdown. That was big. He also got T. Higgins involved because the Chiefs were shifting so many of their coverages, I should say, towards Chase. And Higgins just feasted on those opportunities. He came up with several big-time catches, led the team in receiving yards. I think he went over 100. So between Chase and Higgins, those guys are really good. Chase was a little quiet in this game, but remember, they were rolling the coverages towards Chase. And then Higgins, like I said, Higgins feasted and just really came up big for the Bengals. But make no mistake about it, none of this is capable without Joe Burrow. He's cool, calm, and collected back there in the pocket. Obviously, in this game, if you watch it, he didn't really set the world on fire in this game, but he did lead the comeback. He did, make the throws that he had to make. He made a lot of big throws in that game, to Higgins, to Chase, it was a big game. Joe Mixon ran hard too. Joe Mixon really, got a lot of touches. There wasn't a lot there, but he ran hard and he inflicted some pain on the Chiefs defense, and that added a little something to the Bengals. It wasn't a great showing on the ground by any means, but Zach Taylor, he was trying to control the time of possession. He was trying to take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, and he wanted to keep his offense on the field and keep his defense well rested on the sidelines. And he did that by, calling these run plays and, eating up some clock, controlling the time of possession, doing those things. It wasn't pretty in the first half, and, the Bengals got into a hole, and it almost looked like that game plan was going to cost the Bengals. But, fortunately, like I said, T. Higgins, big game. Joe Burrow makes some throws. Chase, had the goal line fade for a touchdown where he goes up and high points the football over a defender in a one-on-one jump ball situation. He did what he had to do. As for the Rams, they're trailing in that game. The 49ers were playing tough. And then it kind of came down to a big fourth quarter from Matthew Stafford. It was sink or swim for the Rams, and Matthew Stafford rose to the occasion. He answered the call. And, that's why you trade the 2 first-round picks in Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford, because Stafford, with the season on the line, he made the throws that he had to make. And he did it by doing the same thing he's done all season long, which is by getting Cooper Kupp involved. He just kept going back to Kupp time after time again. Those guys have been doing it all year long. And Kupp comes up big down the stretch. The Rams find a way to beat the 49ers. Odell Beckham Jr. has a good game too. Matthew Stafford, that's why you bring him in. And you have to believe that the Rams have an advantage in the Super Bowl. You have to believe they're the favorites because there's just so many playmakers on this offense. It's going to be tough for the Bengals to stop all these guys. So going into this game, it feels like the Rams have the advantage. Who knows? Maybe Joe Burrow's miracle run isn't over yet. Maybe he can keep this thing going and just be the same guy he was at LSU. It's amazing what they've done in 2 years to go from the worst team in football to the Super Bowl in such a short span of time. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. But Joe Burrow is special. But it feels like the Rams have an advantage in this one. There's just too much of that. There's just too much there. You got all those weapons on offense. Look what they have on defense. Aaron Donald, Von Miller. I mean, those guys are ballers. Eric Weddle comes back off the couch and leads the team in tackles. I mean, it's crazy what Eric Weddle's been able to do. He's, out of the league for 3 or 4 years, I think, and just suits up. Raheem Morris gives him the call. He steps in and he leads the team in tackles because what? Because Eric Weddle has instincts. He has great instincts. He knows how to sniff out plays. I saw him on one play shoot the gap and have a huge TFL in that game, and it's just like you can't coach that. Some guys have instincts, and they trust their instincts, and they play the game so fluidly. It's just how it happens, and Eric Weddle is a guy that can just go out there right off the couch and make it happen because, he's been one of the best players in this league for a long time. And, yeah, he was on a hiatus, but when Raheem Morris needed him, it was a no-brainer. And, like I said, he balled out. 37 years old, Eric Weddle balls out. The other thing we're going to talk about is Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels gets the Raiders job, hired as the Raiders coach. And let's not forget this was a playoff team this past year. So this isn't a complete rebuild by any means. Josh McDaniels knows that. Why start from the ground up and try to build a team up when you can go to a proven winner and enhance the things they're already doing well? That seems to be Josh McDaniels' mindset now that he's the Raiders coach. And, I think if an opportunity was so good that he decided to lead the Patriots, he obviously feels really good about this job. And we know he's going to use creativity to his advantage. That's the thing McDaniels always does well. He's very creative. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. When you look back at what he did with the Patriots, always coming up with some kind of play, really. It was always a play that kind of tilted the odds in the Patriots' favor. I think he'll bring some of that to the Raiders. And the other big thing he said he wanted to do was focus on relationships. So with some of the problems that the Raiders have had off the field, I think the fact that he's going to focus on relationships, that might clean up some of the off-the-field problems that the Raiders have. So I think that's big for Josh McDaniels and the Raiders. If they can just cut down on some of the rest that they've had, it's going to be obviously much better for the team because those are distractions and it turns a lot of people off. Remember, they're in a new town, new city there in Las Vegas, Nevada. So they need to be, kind of reaching out to people and networking and creating opportunities. And, obviously they're going to be fine, but you always have to, reach out to advertisers, sponsors, things like that, and work out deals. And when you have all this, turmoil, swirling around your team, it's kind of hard to get deals done when people don't have a lot of faith that your team can't stay out of trouble. So Josh McDaniels should be able to clean some of those things up too. And this has a chance to be a great hire if, it does go the way things are supposed to go. I think Josh McDaniels has been patiently waiting for this opportunity, and I think he's ready to show off everything he learned from Bill Belichick. I'm John Kuzma. That's all I got today. Check out endzonblog.com.